Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. One hell of a drug. And I want to welcome you to the channel wherever you are tuning in from around the world today. Thanks for watching. The title of the show, is it a bull trap or is it a bear trap? What could be happening next? I'm going to give the case for the bear and the case for the bull and my thoughts as to what I think and a whole bunch more. But before we do that, smash the like button. This does help this channel get out to more people and, of course, does help support the channel, as does your wonderful comments that you take the time to write. I take the time to read them and respond. And so let's take a quick look at a few things, Bitcoin. And as you can see, we are in a bullish pattern. So we're going to talk about the bull case but is this bull flag going to play out? Because here's the thing, bull flags, patterns, do play out to the upside around 2/3 of the time, and about 1/3 of the time they don't. So there's a greater chance it does play out and the bears get trapped thinking it's going to go to the downside. So let's talk about what's in the bull's favor. First of all, the trend is up. We're clearly in an uptrend. We've made higher highs and higher lows on the daily, weekly time frames, on the major time frames. We also have USTD dominance, which is in a bear flag pattern. If we look at USTD dominance, let's have a look here. We've got a nice bear flag and the 200-day EMA, 200 EMA on the daily there as well. And so this quite possibly is holding a support right now, but if it breaks down from that, and of course, when USDT dominance breaks down, usually the price of Bitcoin goes up. You can see here that there was the breakdown that came. So we could see if this bear flag plays out, then of course we would see the price of Bitcoin goes up because if people are selling USDT and therefore the market dominance or the amount of USDT is in the market is less, is because they've been buying Bitcoin and they've been buying altcoins. Okay, very, very important. And what's interesting enough, for those who watched my show on the weekend, where we talked about the weekly stochastic RSI, and for those of you who watched previous shows of mine about the weekly stochastic RSI, is actually a good time to have gotten, if you look here on the 14th of April is when the blue line crosses below the 80% line on the stochastic RSI. And so that coincides here with this breakdown. Well, interesting enough, if you go to Bitcoin and you go to the 14th of April here, you can actually see that would have been a great time to buy. On top of the fact that Bitcoin also at around or on the same time here, let's look at when it crossed over around that 14th of April, that would have been a time to jump in and to last chance to buy Bitcoin. And I did give the update on the Tribal Trades Discord, one Discord to rule them all. And I did give this update in there for those of you who haven't seen this here. The last opportunity, our last opportunity to get swing trades in and any final buys on Bitcoin before the bull market resumes. So, I have a bunch of people that will ask me now, what's a good price to buy? I gave the last chances, the last opportunities to buy. And on that same day there, you can see I gave the targets. And look at all those low prices. Sui at 207, around 210. Ondo at around 83 cents, Solana 133, Tau 231, Bitcoin 84. If you've taken the trades, and I say this, you've got to risk it for the biscuit. You've got to be in it to win it. And listen, you've got to take those that take the trades are those that have made the money, okay? And I wouldn't recommend be jumping in at these levels at all, unless you're just doing some scalping or some leverage trades, which we do teach in the Tribal Trades Discord, how to long or short the market with leverage, and people are learning how to do that and making money. We have the Leverage Lounge, aka the party zone down here, and people are stacking up the wins there. Donut again crushing it with another $450 trade there. This guy didn't even know how to leverage trade when he came into the Discord. He's learned that in just 1 month. Can you believe it? More than pays for the price of the Discord, which is less than a cup of coffee a day, or at about $1.50 per day. He made $450 on that trade. But you can see there as we go up, Nikola Tesla continuing to crush it. Mike Crypto, again, in the money, absolutely doing a fantastic job, and you can just see that goes on there on the way up there. Loads of different people. William crushing it there. Nino getting in on a great trade there. Absolutely smashing it. 499% trade, Nino. You're absolutely crushing it. So proud of you, man. Maddox there, again, crushing it, doing a great job with a $94 trade, and just incredible there. People making money in the Tribal Trades Discord. If you do want to sign up for that, there is a link below in the description of this video. You might need to click the more button to pop out. It's there. And then just below that, of course, I'm also in the Stocks with Josh Discord. I have my own Crown Traders channel in there as well. I share education, insights, some of my trade setups, and of course, entertainment, because I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. Are you not entertained? Okay, so let's jump back to Bitcoin there. And so that's the bull case there for the bull flag. And we have crossed that weekly, and there's no sign of that curling over yet. So there wouldn't be a sign for me. Where am I going to get out of trades? When I see this blue line cross over the red line, when I've already taken profits on actually a bunch of trades, but where would I look to get out positions? Where the blue line crosses below the red line, and if it does it below the 80 line, I'll get out. But if it does it above the 80 line, then I would only get out once the blue line, even if it crossed the red line, I'm not getting out until it goes down. But you can actually see with Bitcoin, just beware here, we do actually have a situation where Bitcoin has crossed below the red, but hasn't crossed below the 80. So you can see here going, oh, I wouldn't get out here because look, you would have missed out on a beautiful $11,000 move. Whereas, here's where you want to get out, where the blue line crosses below the red line, but needs to cross below the 80. If you'd gotten out there at 87, for example, you could have bought back all the way down here at 76. And look on the daily, it gave you your entry there on the daily as the blue line crosses above the red, but it also needs to cross above the 20 as well. So, you do need to keep an eye on it. I do like the stochastic RSI. So I would be looking, this would be my case also. Now let's flip over to the bear side of it. Of course, we have this pump, but it's on low volume. You can see the volume decreasing there. I'll just highlight that for everybody there that may not be able to see the decreasing volume. That's not ideal. And so that does concern me. Now, where would I see a healthy pullback? Here, a healthy pullback, if we did pull back from here and this bull flag did not play out, we do have a fair value gap between around about that 92,000 level down to around about that 88,000 level. So somewhere around this 20 EMA on the daily or the 200-day moving average would be a healthy pullback to fill that fair value gap there and satisfy that fair value gap. Now, fair value gaps don't need to fill right away. It could get filled in 5 or 6 months' time. Okay, so I don't want people to think, oh, the fair value gaps there has to be filled. No, it doesn't have to be filled now. They generally do get filled, and it may not be filled until we are in an actual confirmed bear market and Bitcoin has made a new all-time high, for example. Okay, and so it's very important to understand that we could see that move away. And of course, that is the other case for the bear. We also have the bear moon. Now, look, I'm not a big moon phase guy, so don't shoot the messenger. But if people are buying and selling based off bull or bear moons, I don't want to be left behind on that. Before we get to the bear moon, I also want to just remind you about the MACD, that generally when the monthly cross, the blue crosses below the red, that's usually the end of the road. And so that hasn't happened. There's a nice gap there, but let's just make sure that we keep an eye on that there. Very, very important. And we do want to bring up the bull moon and the bear moon. It's called moon phases. As you can see, there's a bull moon, and you can see what happens to the price. And now we have a bear moon there that just printed. But, honestly, there's the bear moon down. There's a bull moon, kind of goes up a little bit there. So, look, take it with a grain of salt. They tend to happen every 2 weeks, I believe. So, historically, there's the last bear moon, we went down. There's a bull moon, it kind of went up there. So sometimes when I've often found with the moon phases, by the way, I've often found that when it really does match the trend. When you're in an uptrend and you get a bear moon like over here, it generally is more consolidation. Sure, there was some downside, but it was more just creating some consolidation there, okay? And what's interesting, by the way, is this is a huge bull flag on the weekly time frame that didn't play out to the upside. So just showing you that these bull flags don't always play back. And we could see something similar on the daily where a bull flag plays out. It's a great bull trap, and then we see some downside there. So it tends to me to match that whenever it matches the trend, like this bull moon that you saw, it didn't really go up that much. Another bull moon, actually this one did trigger quite nicely. So it does tend to match the trend, I've found. So if you're in an uptrend, until the trend changes, of course, when you're in an uptrend, I do find that when you have a bear moon, it's more, you see a little bit of downside. So I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see some kind of a pullback. So that's what I'm leaning towards, that it's a little bit of a bull trap, but not a bull trap into a bear market, but a bull trap just into some correction there on Bitcoin. Of course, the bull side of things is that we could just go up, but I actually think it would be more healthy if we had a cool off. So for the bears, there's resistance, and of course there's resistance. We're getting stuck at this 95 level, which is halfway between 100 and 90. That was an area that we ranged in. So we're at the 50% level, and we're struggling to get above that. We might even come out to try and trap some more bills and get stopped at the 618.96. And of course, what would invalidate this bull trap? A break above this 96 level, a retest and above. And I would really even say this, because you could get a fake out where it goes above this and goes, oh yeah, we've invalidated it, and then we come back in. So I'm going to put it a little bit higher. I'm going to make the bar a bit higher at 97,900. We get above that, then this bull flag breakout has happened and it invalidates the bull trap. So I'm leaning towards, and we're going to have a bit of a pullback and a bit of a market reset. The RSIs are going to reset. We go back to the stochastic RSI here, and we are actually going to not add that twice, that we are going to actually have a little bit of a cool off, and we might see on the daily this come down. And sometimes it can come down and it can cool off enough, and then it will stay up there and then pivot up. So on the daily, or it could come all the way down the bottom. That's not going to freak me out. It's the weekly time frame. If we see that blue line cross under the red line while in the 20% to 80% range, that is where I would look to exit the positions and say, yeah, this is we're probably going to go here, and we may, if we go back under the 200-day moving average, it might be over. Now, listen, there is a monthly close tomorrow, and I'm just really looking to see that Bitcoin stays above its 200-day moving average, okay? I think that that's just the most important thing, that it stays above that it has a nice close above that 200-day moving average, just like we saw the weekly close above that 200-day moving average. I think it's important that we continue to hold that level, and I would not like to see it if we were to close below. It's quite possibly now that we go and start to head down into a bear market at that point, and this has been quite a significant fake out to the upside to trap some bulls, massive bull trap, and then it becomes a lot bigger. That's why I would exit well before that. If we did see on the weekly time frame that turn over there and go below, then it would be time to get out there. Okay, let's have a quick look at follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. we're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz, and we want to see what the market makers are up to. They have for now left behind that big amount of liquidity at 73 billions down there. There is some new building up there around 82, 83. But I think at that point, if we came back down to these levels, I would have exited the market well before then. And so I do think that if this starts to happen, I'm out. And then obviously there is a lot more liquidity left to the upside here at 96. That's why I'm saying a little bit of short-term pullback to these levels here. There's a fair bit down here around that 90, 88 level here before further pushing up to a new all-time high for Bitcoin or back over 100K there is what I'm thinking there. All right, that's all we have time for today. And of course, until the next episode or until I see you in the Discord, happy trading.